So everybody is in front of them. It has multiple copies of the thing that has gray boxes all over it. Yes, good. And then you've got working around to you. It looks like it's still working itself around is the article, 4 pages of articles. And they'll come around to you soon. So the reason for that is just to save you guys time, really, is all it is. I don't want you guys writing down huge data sets while we're learning how to process the data sets too. What I'm trying to do, and this is a little bit fictitious. You may have noticed this in statistics. There's a little bit of fiction that goes on in how we teach this course in Oregon. 243. Every time you guys went to a program or went to a table, if you took Donna's class, went to a table, all of those, what you got, Nick?
This is it.
That's the only page?
Oh, it's coming around, okay.
Oh, you guys split them up into pages? Okay, yes, keep them coming, yes.
Is this, how many of these did we need?
4.
Okay.
I think 4 will get us through today. Actually, they'll probably get us through probably more than enough for today. A lot of this course is based on mathematics you guys don't have and weren't required to have before it, namely calculus. Quite a bit. I know, I hate to mention it even, although I meant to do it 105 without you realizing it.
Oh yeah, don't tell them that.
I just did.
I don't want that.
So, there are some things we can do to get through the calculus. The other part of the course that you weren't required to do before coming here was like a research methods type class where you actually learn how to collect data. Because collecting data, in a lot of ways, is more challenging than analyzing data. Getting good data especially. A couple days ago, I don't know if I told you guys about the Defenders of Wildlife and the wolves in Idaho. Did I mention that to you guys at all? So again, this kind of thing happens all the time. I belong to Defenders of Wildlife, and I got an email talking about the gunning of wolves in Idaho. And they wanted me to donate money to put a political campaign together to stop it. And I was like, sure, for sure. And then I said, well, why would they be shooting wolves in Idaho? And why? And as I tracked it down, it turns out the ranchers are upset because the wolves are picking off their herds. So I said, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what a significant impact that is, because it's never mentioned in the articles what a significant impact the wolves have on the herds. So I did some digging, and I found a website not tied to Defenders of Wildlife, not tied to a ranchers union, but an independent government entity that actually studied deaths of cattle, herd cattle, over the past like 10 or 15 years. And as it turns out, between 5 and 10% of the herds are killed by wolves. And the remainder of what the herds that die is from respiratory diseases, other non-predator issues. So I thought to myself, why are we targeting the wolves when 5 times to 6 times to 7 times more are from other attributes? That's the first question I asked. The second question I asked is, which animals are the wolves catching? So I did some more digging. And it turns out the wolves actually do the ranchers a favor because they're picking off the weakest and the sickest animals, which is exactly what predators usually do. You watch a video of a cheetah chasing a bunch of zebras down. Which zebra does the cheetah catch? The slowest or the smallest or the sickest or the lamest. Why is that good for genetics? It takes the sick. I don't want to sound. What's that terrible phrase that Hitler was practicing? Starts with an E. Eugenics. I don't want to sound eugenic, but that's kind of what Darwin's all about. You survival of the fittest-ish. You know, the strongest pass the genes on. The cheetahs are actually helping the zebras in that respect. It doesn't look that way when you see this thing and brings down a zebra, but that's the kind of Darwin at work. So as I dug more, now you got to realize with that statement, as I dug more, 99% of Americans won't dig. They'll simply see an advertisement with absolutely no backing on it, and either believe it or disavow it depending on their personal belief. So what I did in going and finding those documentations, those documents that were done on the herds, on the percentages, on the deaths, is more than most people will ever do. And what you're sitting there holding right now is a result of hours and hours and hours of finding such data for us to play with. Why do I do this? Number one, I don't want you to have to write it all down while we're in class together. Number two, we have but 10 weeks, half of which are gone after today. We're half done after today. That makes me incredibly sad.
Holy crap.
That's what I'm saying. So this way, at least we save ourselves some time in this respect. We have a springboard to go off of. So even though this course is all about the analysis of data and the ways to process data and interpret data and understand data better, there are so many more. Kind of like when you pick your cell phone up and you turn it on. right? You check your email, you send somebody a text message, you make a phone call. There are a bazillion things going on inside that phone that are very, very interesting. None of which you probably care about, but they're still happening, yes? There's a reason you can send a text message. It's a bunch of ones and zeros going wirelessly across, whatever. In much the same way, everything we do in here has an underlying kind of currents too. I like to nod to those at least, even if we don't actually get into them in this class. Hopefully we've piqued your curiosity. I forced you to do on that exam, didn't I? Because I'm a bastard. Go out, find 2 studies, one of which has a good margin of error, or is validated by a margin of error, one of which is not. Yes, that's me being a bastard. It actually is not in, if you will, the rigorous outcomes of the course. The rigorous outcomes of the course were the other 80 points on the exam, where you had to take numbers, crunch them, do this ratio, do this confidence interval, calculate this margin of error, interpret if there's a difference, what's the chance of being wrong. That's 244-ish. I mean, actually that's 244 by the books. The last couple questions where you had to go and interpret things, that's kind of getting at the heart and soul. Why does a cell phone work? You might not care. I'm going to make you at least give you a point value on it so you can look at it and understand why. That make sense? Okay. Sorry, I didn't want to get preachy this morning, but that was the point of those. How was the exam? Decent?
The last 2 are a little...
Good! That was the last lesson I was referencing, right? Those the little heady makes you go out and actually do some digging, and you begin to realize that it's definitely not a traditional math class because you have to process. Austin, go ahead. You were going to say something.
It was a lot less wordy.
A lot less wordy?
Yeah, but before you'd have 3 pages of explaining.
I don't hear this enough. Thank you, my friend. I do not hear that enough. A criticism I often get is that I'm too wordy, and you guys get lost in what I'm communicating. So I appreciate that. And I love to hear this. I love to hear that in the evals, please. When the evals come out for you guys, tell me that kind of stuff. Like, you're too wordy.
Well, it was good because it was like a paragraph of explaining and then it was...
Then do something.
Yeah, question.
Kind of, yes. Rather than putting everything at the end and reading through it, kind of good. I've been trying to pay attention to that. And I like the conversational tone. I think that works better. I mean, I'm Italian. It works. I can't do the hand thing on paper, so I try to do it with words. Nah. So the idea, though, is just to have a conversation so you know why and what you're doing. Not just why, not just what, but both at the same time. Good. I don't hear that enough, and I'm glad it's working. And please, you guys feel free to send your comments in. Like I said, I'll have the evaluation forms eventually, just like in 243. The rest of the exam, though, were you guys able, if you needed to find in the resources page what you needed as far as more practice, if you needed to find a similar problem? A bunch of you emailed me, which was totally fine. Totally, I mean, I appreciate that. But in case you don't want to do that or don't feel like doing that, you can always dig into the resource pages and find stuff there. The chances of being wrong and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. Good! We'll have one more of those. Well, one more like that as far as scope. I'll have it posted in exam week in a couple weeks. So this is week 5, right? I'll try to get it posted by no later than the end of week 7. So that way you have 8, 9, and 10. It might end up being in the middle of week 8 that it gets posted, but I'll have you at least two weeks to work on it.
The last exam.
The last exam, yeah. The last, like, one like this. You're going to have quizzes, of course, all along the way, including, I think I posted 2, if not 3, for next week. Just 3? I posted 3. Okay, that's out. I forget. I just like, oh, I like this one. I like this one. I'll make a new one. I'm in the process of making a new one for 2 weeks out, so I lose track of that, too. You'll have plenty, though. That's the idea. You have plenty of stuff to practice, plenty of stuff to submit. I don't want to bury you with work. That's why the quizzes become, if you will, optional-ish. A lot of you guys are well along your way of knocking your 10 out. I mean, I've been keeping track every week, and I put the quiz grades in, and a large number of you are well past the halfway point, at the halfway point, if you will, if that makes sense. So you have to do 10. Most of you have at least 5 in, and you're doing just fine on them. So, cool. Again, looking forward next week. There are some quizzes for there if you want to do them.
Project.
The project, yes. Don't forget the project. It's the confidence project, yes? I think it is. It's got an Excel spreadsheet attached to it. I don't want to... I'm not going to say anything about procrastination. I'm going to stop talking right then. But it has an Excel component attached. There it is right there. Baby weights. It's one last little view back at confidence. Confidence by itself. Now, in what we're talking about today, we're going to actually be utilizing confidence and its little brother, significance. And that's what we're getting into today. We actually got into it last week and Tuesday of this week. And we're going to take that confidence and kind of run with it and tie it together with the idea of hypothesis testing. So anyway, that's where we are halfway. It's a good place to be. Fair? Okay. Good. Any questions? Any questions about what I just said or about anything administrative?